I'm Michelle Beglin, the live dietitian in your kitchen, and today we're going to be making lasagna soup. This is a great recipe to use at the holidays instead of making a full lasagna when you're going to have lots of other food. Great low calorie, easy way to get that lasagna flavor in without all the hard work. So let's get started. I have my pan on a medium-high heat. This is a 5-quart pan. 5 or 6-quart saucepan is about what you want to do because we are making a soup. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is we are going to add in our 1 tablespoon of olive oil to coat the bottom of this pan and to make sure that nothing sticks to it. So I've added that olive oil. I'm just going to kind of move it around, make sure that we coat everything up and it's nice and hot. And now I have 1 cup of onion. So I did about a medium onion. This is a yellow onion. You could also use a sweet onion. And I'm going to add that to our oil. We're going to let these cook down. I'm also going to add in my 2 cloves or 1 teaspoon of garlic. So this is like the start of every Italian dish, right? Olive oil, garlic, and onions. So we're going to let this cook all together and let these onions become what we call translucent. So they're no longer this white color, they're kind of an opaque-y, clear color. So we're just going to let this cook for about 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, so now our onions are ready to go. They're nice and opaque. And I'm going to go ahead and add this ground turkey straight in here. And by adding the turkey with the onions and the garlic, we're adding in a lot of really good flavor. Instead of just adding this turkey to broth and letting it boil, we're adding some good flavor by browning it with these onions and garlic. So we're using a nice lean ground turkey. You could also use a ground chicken. You could also use, if you wanted more of that ground meat flavor, you could use a 90% lean ground beef or even a ground bison. Would give you that nice meaty flavor that you're looking for. So you don't need to use a real high-fat meat because we're going to add in broth and sauce. So it's going to add that moisture that fat typically adds to our dish. So go ahead and use a nice lean meat. We're going to let all these flavors cook together, the turkey, onions, garlic, and oil for, I don't know, about 3 minutes. And we're going to get most of this pink right out of the turkey so that we don't get sick. Now it will continue to cook. We're going to end up boiling it, so it will be fully cooked. So we're just going to make sure that we get most of it out. Okay, so the turkey is cooked. It is white. The onions are translucent. It's now time to add the liquid. I'm going to go ahead and add 4 cups or this 32 ounce of chicken broth. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in a 14-ounce can of diced tomatoes. As you can see, these don't have any salt in them. And I'm going to add the liquid in with them as well. We're going to keep all that liquid to keep this soup going. Then we're going to add in the tomato sauce. So I have a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. And then the recipe also calls for 1 tablespoon of dried oregano. So I'm going to go ahead and put my tablespoon in here, and I'm going to sprinkle it throughout this dish. Perfect. And we'll give it a nice stir and get all of these flavors all together. Look at that, all that tomatoes and the sauce, the turkey. So we have the real good makings of the soup. Now this soup will thicken up a little bit too. So once we add those lasagna noodles, it won't be as thick. So at that point, you could either add a little more chicken broth or another can of diced tomatoes if you want it to be really soupy. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this heat up and we're going to bring it to a boil. While it's boiling, I'm going to crush my noodles. Now what I have learned throughout doing this is these noodles are sharp. So I take about 6 or 7 and I put them in a bag and I just break it this way. And this way I don't hurt my hand. So you could break them with your hand, break them with a rolling pin, however you want to do it to break up these lasagna noodles. Is however works best for you. Alright, as you can see, this is boiling quite nicely. So I've broken up all my whole grain noodles into smaller pieces, and the nice thing is you can have larger pieces, small pieces. I had one veteran ask me once if he could do it with pasta noodles. Absolutely. That it's not lasagna noodles, but that's fine too. So I'm going to go ahead and just dump these straight into this boiling soup and give them a stir. And all we're going to do now is just wait another 10 to 12 minutes until these noodles are al dente. You want to keep this at a boil. You don't need to cover it. You want to stir it occasionally just to make sure that everything cooks evenly and we don't burn the bottom of it. But we're going to let this all boil for the next 10 to 12 minutes, and then we'll be ready to enjoy it. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes. And this soup is boiling away. And as you can see, these noodles are definitely a lot more cooked. They're no longer hard and rigid. They are a little bit al dente. As I mentioned before, I'm just going to turn this down just a smidge. As I mentioned before, it did thicken up. And that is because those noodles took on a lot of that fluid that was there, that broth. So if you wanted it to be a little bit more soup-like, you could add a little bit more to it. So all we have to do now, we have our turkey and our noodles and our tomatoes and our onions. This is a nice soup. There's not a lot to it, but you could make it more veggie-wise and add in zucchini and peppers and eggplants. So things that you might add to like a veggie lasagna could also go in this. And if you did do that, I would recommend at least another 16 ounces of broth and another can of diced tomatoes if you add those veggies to it. So it looks delicious as is. And now, what's lasagna without ricotta cheese? So you just need to take about a tablespoon of ricotta cheese and add it straight in here. And then you can just mix it up. And then what that will do, it will kind of give you just a little bit of that ricotta and move it around. If you wanted to, you could also take some that mozzarella and sprinkle that right over the top, like you might also do with a lasagna. That ricotta really does add that little bit of fat that this needs and a little bit more mouthfeel. Those noodles are cooked perfectly al dente. So if you like them a little bit softer, go ahead and cook them a little bit longer. But this is absolutely delicious. Big fan favorite.